Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And you know I love doing these interviews because I get to meet wonderful entrepreneurs and learn all kinds of great stuff from them, but I also get to travel the world sitting in the comfort of my own kitchen, and I get to take all my hot women friends with me, so it doesn't get much better than that. So my guest today is co-founder of the Shin Dao Institute. And for the last 15 years, she's been offering people uplifting inspiration and a sacred space for personal transformation as a speaker, a facilitator of seminars, workshops, retreats, and healing sessions. She's also been in service as a NIA teacher. I'll check that out, make sure I've got that right. Writer, editor, mindfulness trainer, a quest master, a personal coach, a master hugger. Oh my goodness, if only she was in the room, and a lover of life. Her joyful energy and contagious enthusiasm have contributed to her reputation as the feel-good lady. Tina's open heart, I said who it is, and loving approach creates safe and sacred space for you to love who you are, follow your heart, and joyfully shine your light so you play bigger and shine brighter than you ever thought possible. Her invitation to you is this: stop longing, start living. What a great inspiration that is. So, Tina Thrussell, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Pat. I'm excited to be here with you. It's fun to be in your kitchen in the UK while I'm in Canada.
So give us one of those virtual hugs. I think I need a hug now. Feeling the love. So let's go back in your story. So you've been doing this for 15 years. What were you doing before that? I know you're only young, so you just left school, but tell me what you were up to.
Yeah, not quite, but yes, I was in sales and marketing for years and years. Actually, it's funny, right out of high school, I went off across the country, did a bursary program, got immersed in a French-Canadian family to experience what that's like. Came back home, went back to visit the high school where I had just graduated from. And one of the teachers said, "So are you doing anything next weekend? we need somebody to serve at one of our teachers events at the Alberta Teachers Association." So I poured wine for the teachers and, played a little hostess role. And somebody offered me a job there as a part-time. They had a temporary position for 3 months. Apparently they liked me. I ended up staying 5 years. How many of us get into that situation, right? So I was doing all sorts of clerical things that it became very clear to me were not serving my soul in any way, shape, or form. A girlfriend said, I'm going on maternity leave. My family owns this printing shop. I need someone to run the print shop. Will you come and do that? But I don't know anything about printing. That's okay, we'll train you. So off I went. Again, just fell into another position, said yes to an opportunity, learned a lot of things. While I was there, someone else offered me another position, said, "I love what you do here, but I need somebody like you in our facility. So come in, we'll create a position for you. We'll have you bridge between the sales team and the customers, be sort of a customer service." So I ended up doing that for several years. And then they said, "Really love what you're doing. Let's put you out in the field." So there I was in the print industry for years, changed companies when somebody else picked me up and somebody else picked me up. I kept doing this, going from job to job, selling business services to businesses, and loving that aspect of sharing information with people. But really, the line got drawn when I ended up at a print shop owned by a gentleman who, dare I say, had absolutely zero integrity, and ran his business in a way that I found truly and totally offensive. And one day my husband came home and found me sitting on our living room couch, crying my little eyes out. And he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I can't do this anymore. This is sucking the life out of me. I just can't do this." And he said, "So quit. what do you mean so quick? What are we going to do then? You know, we've got a mortgage, blah, 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 all that, blah, 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 blah. And he said, none of that is as important as your happiness. Like,
Yeah.
look at you, you're a mess. You've got to give this up. And I'm like, but what am I going to do? He's like, well, here's your chance. What do you want to do? It was a good question. It was something I hadn't asked myself for the entire 20 years of that jumping from job to job in the sales and marketing industry. I just kept taking the next opportunity that presented itself.
Yeah, and then you just get to these moments, don't you, where you just are so unhappy. I don't know if we all have to get to that stage of being so unhappy to make the change, rather than just going, do you know what, I'm going to pursue my dream. I don't know.
I don't know either. It seems that the circle of people I know have to get to that point of, oh man, I can't take this anymore. Like I said, it certainly happened to me. And I know it happens to a lot of the women that I know.
Absolutely, yeah. So what happened next? How did you find what it was you wanted to do?
Well, it was interesting. I spent some time just sort of looking at, well, what is it that I do like about what I'm doing? What can I take from that? And the fact that I was educating people to help them make more intelligent choices, that aspect of sales that I really loved. So I thought, if I can take that into a personal world where I'm helping people make decisions and choices that will make a bigger difference in their life, now that speaks to me. So
that's lovely, because it is that whole thing of, you know, what is it in what I'm doing that's good and that I can build on, rather than just throwing everything out. I don't know if you have the same saying in Canada, throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I think we borrowed it from our British friends, yes.
So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Definitely we don't. And yeah, so that's where I started from. So what is it about this that I loved? Yeah, it's educating people to let them make a more informed choice. Okay, so what am I going to educate people about?
Yeah.
My husband looked at me and said, yeah. So what are you going to educate people about? Well, we were on our own personal development path. And we'd been doing a lot of programs, and I really, really appreciated that awareness of our consciousness, and how when we become aware of the choices we're making, we really can affect the outcome of our lives. And that became so pivotal for me in understanding that I could change the direction of my life. And if I could influence others to change the direction of their lives, wouldn't that be amazing? Talk about juicy. So I decided that, yes, I wanted to do some consciousness training. And I felt that the women's market was a great place to start. And starting with the whole issue of confidence and believing in ourselves was the foundational point. And he said, that's lovely. And you don't have many qualifications. No one's going to hire you. So you're going to have to just build a business of your own to do that. And I was like, what? If I'd had any idea what the journey would be like, I would have said, no way, and walked away. And I think that's true. A lot of entrepreneurs say that, right? They just sort of step in blindly, having no idea what this journey is going to look like.
Yeah, and it evolves. That's the whole point, is that when you start out, you might not know exactly where it's going to go, and it just evolves and you grow into it. So what was the next step?
Absolutely, you do. You grow into it. So yes, Neil loves to tell this story. So we go for a drive to visit family in another city, and we're driving along, and he just starts pumping me all these questions. You know, well, if you were to have a company of your own, what would you call it? The name Best You Can Be popped into my mind, and he's like, oh, that's kind of fun. And what would it be like? And you know, we had a 3-hour drive, lots of questions. So when we got close to our destination, he pulled into a registration office and did a nuanced search on Best You Can Be. Well, we found a spelling that wasn't being used, and he registered the company name. We just registered a corporation,
Wow.
Boom, right then and there. He's like, okay, now we've got something to work with. I'm like, you're a crazy man. Yes, that's how we move somewhere, is right? We take a risk, we jump in, get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
So
and the universe rewards that action, doesn't it?
it does. It does. So yeah, then became this, well, 13-year journey of creating various programs. My very first program was Believe in Yourself, You're Awesome. And I started doing talks everywhere I could at libraries, women's groups, you name it. And from there, it evolved into a full day workshop called Building Confidence. And then I started taking these out to various other places. We have a continuing education arm of our Board of Education here that's for adult education. So I started offering classes through there and just sort of putting it out there any way that I could. And again, most of us just find by default, somebody says, oh, have you talked to so-and-so there? And oh, there's another opportunity to bring that information there.
Excellent. And at this time, were you working with your husband, Neil, or were you working this by yourself?
Sort of both. Neil is working a full-time job and in the daytime, and then in the evenings, I bounce my ideas off of him. We would go out and set up the room together, and he'd be my logistics guy, my set up the website guy, that just everything, support beyond belief. And eventually he began to write programs of his own, and then we began co-facilitating. And that's when Best You Can began to blossom more fully. And we started to work together as a team to do weekend intensives where we took people through much deeper interactive transformational work.
Yeah.
And it was through that process that we evolved to becoming the Shin Dao Institute, where we are today.
And when did you set that up?
Well, actually, we just started to use that name last year, so just 2016. So it's fairly new, and we're still very much in the evolution stage. As Joseph Ranseth, one of the Evolutionary Business Council members, likes to say, iteration, 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 right? There's just a new version, a new version, a new version. As you said, it keeps changing and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it stood still, it would kind of get stale, but every time you refresh it and really respond to what's going on around you, it just kind of freshens it all up.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Fantastic. What a journey. So this is Pat Duckworth talking to Tina Thrussell in Calgary in Canada, and we're talking about her entrepreneurial journey. So you had to really change identity from somebody working in sales to somebody doing this personal development work. Was that a smooth transition, or what did you have to learn to make that change?
Smooth? Definitely not.
I kind of knew that.
Yeah, it's not smooth for anyone, is it? Well, let's all be honest with each other. Yeah, a lot of learning. I have a very dear friend who one day said to me, when I was tearfully saying, I've been plugging away on this for 5 years and I'm not making any money. Everything I make goes into keeping the company going and blah, 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 blah. And she said, well, look at it this way. You've been in Tina University, and instead of paying tuition, at least you're being supported to carry forward. And that was one of those pivotal moments, right? A total perspective change. Yeah. Flip 360. Yeah, I may not be bringing in a big cash flow, but wow, I couldn't pay anybody a dollar amount for what I'm learning about who I am, how I show up in the world, how I want to show up in the world, what power I have and what skills, what talents, what can I bring into the world, and in what ways. Wow, that is just an evolution that happens.
And is this something that you help other women with as part of your work in Shin Dao, or is that totally separate to anything else?
No, that's definitely part of what we do, helping women get some clarity about who they are right now. What are their strengths? You know, I don't know about the education system in the UK, but here in North America, oh my goodness, our educational system focuses on, okay, so where are you weak? That's where we're going to focus. Let's help you get over all those weaknesses that you have. Does that make any sense? Why don't we look at where are people strong? What are their strengths? What are their talents and skills? Let's build that up and let's put them into following a path that utilizes those strengths.
Yeah, and some of that, sometimes people come and see me and they're not book intelligent, but they're creative intelligent, or they're nature intelligent, or, there's some other facet of themselves is where their intelligence lies, but nobody's ever valued it or appreciated it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a huge flaw from my perception in our system, and it develops us into who we are, these doubting creatures, doubting our value and worth and what we can bring to the world.
Yeah.
So part of what we do is illuminate their light to let them see their brilliance so they really can shine and make the difference that we know they can make in the world.
So what's your superpower?
Oh, what's my superpower? I would have to say, from the feedback I've had from many people, is creating a really safe and sacred space for people to truly explore who they are, to feel loved, and explore being that love themselves.
That's beautiful. Oh, that's a really good superpower. You could be in the X women with that, I think. I don't know what your uniform would be, but
I'm not sure. Maybe an angel with wings.
I was talking to one of my clients about this, and with everything else that I do, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I said, one of my superpowers is helping people to sleep. And I'm not sure that the ex people would have me on their team, but I could be in like a cozy onesie and just sending people off to sleep.
Well, one cannot underestimate the value of that.
I know. If you don't get enough sleep, your whole life gets wrecked.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're a mess. You can't function at any level the way you are intended to function.
So it's, discovering our superpowers is really important. So have you got any tips for women who are making this transition into becoming entrepreneurs, or perhaps just making a major change in their lives, about how they find out who they are, how they establish this identity?
Well, the first thing I think that's where my journey began, was paying attention to my self-talk. Noticing what I'm saying to myself. Where am I beating myself up? Where am I going, oh, you dummy? And where are all the degrading, berating comments coming from? And then once I have that awareness, to start to shift that languaging. Wait a minute, I'm not a dummy. I just didn't have all the information in that scenario. So I know I'm smart enough to figure this out, or do this or do that. When you start to get a little bit of a handle on managing that self-talk, then talk to the people that you know, love, and trust, and ask them, what do you see in me? What do I bring to our relationship? What do I bring into the world? And start to pay attention. You may not see your own gifts at first. So looking to the outside is a place to start, so that you can then turn inward and see what's really inside from there.
Yeah, it's a question that I ask all of my clients, no matter what problem they come to me with. I say to them, what are your strengths and capabilities that I'm going to be building on? And for some people, it's a bit of a British thing. And I know Canadians are just that little bit more British. Like, it's that, I don't really want to say what my strengths are. And so I have to use language like, well, what would your friends say about you? What would your partner say about you? What would your manager say about you? And by getting them to say what other people would say, that's more comfortable than what they would say about themselves. And eventually I might get them to say, oh, and I'm really generous, or I really care about people, or I'm really determined. But sometimes it has to be other people's perspectives before they can give their own perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a brilliant tool. It's a great way to get them to that point, seeing themselves through others' eyes so that then they can begin to look through their own eyes at this beautiful being that they are.
The funniest answer I ever got was from a young man, and he'd been in the army. And when I asked him this question, he just drew a blank. He just didn't know. And so I said, what did your commanding officer used to say about you? And he went, oh, he said I was elusive. And I said, okay, what did he mean by that? And he said, whenever there was work to be done, I wasn't there. I guess that's a superpower. Not sure how you use it, but you know, it could be good.
Well, here's what comes to me in that, and this is what the brilliance is in working with someone else, right? And instead of doing this journey on your own, working with a coach like yourself or myself, someone who can see things that maybe you can't see. Wouldn't you say that elusiveness takes a great deal of creativity?
Yeah, it probably takes a great deal of application and problem solving, so you're never there.
Exactly. There is a gift in everything, and it's sometimes just a matter of reframing it so that we can see it.
Yeah, I mean, this might be like a Harry Potter cloak of invisibility. I don't know. Oh, this is such fun talking to you. Tina, if anybody watching wants to contact you or find out more about you and what you do, where can they go?
Well, definitely they can go to shindao.com. And so it's the word shin, like on the front of your leg, S-H-I-N, which means heart. And Dao, D as in Donald, A-O, which means the way. So the way of the heart, shindao.com. And there we have a local phone number, a toll-free number, our email address. I love it when people pick up the phone and talk to me. Do we have our Skype addresses? Oh, if we don't, that's good. I'm going to take a look at our website and check so that we can see you face to face. But you can always email or phone us. We can set up a Zoom meeting or, you know, any of the wonderful technology systems that allow us to see each other in conversation.
Yeah, and isn't it great now for entrepreneurs that we can work with people all around the world? And, you know, there are so many opportunities to use social media to get our word out there. And then, you know, just like we're doing now, it's almost like you're in my kitchen, we could have a cup of tea together, and it just feels quite natural to be chatting. I just think it's fantastic.
It really is amazing. We are so blessed.
Yeah, and for all the would-be midlife entrepreneurs who are thinking, oh, I bet that technology isn't easy. This is so simple. You know, we're using Zoom tonight, and Zoom is super easy to use. And, you know, you're just connecting and looking into each other's eyes, and it's really good. So don't be frightened by technology, because all these providers want to make it really easy for you to use their products, and they're always updating them and just making them better. So don't be a technophobe. And if you are a technophobe, see somebody like me or Tina and get yourself sorted out so you can shine that light brightly.
Absolutely, because, you know, in the beginning, I was totally anti-technology. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it's like anything. Yes, it has its downfalls. There are some people who rely on it too much and start to lose that real human contact. But when it's utilized as an effective tool like we're doing here, it's amazing.
Yeah. So we must get together sometime and have an actual cup of tea. That would be fantastic.
It would.
But for now, thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your wisdom on this interview. And to all of our viewers, thank you for watching, and keep watching out for more of these wonderful interviews with amazing entrepreneurs. I'll see you next time.
All right. We love you.